What's up, everybody? And welcome back to the Stark Side. We're here to talk about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a future that, for the first time in a very long time, feels a little uncertain. For years, the MCU was an unstoppable box office juggernaut. Phase 3, culminating in Avengers: Endgame, was a financial and cultural phenomenon. But Phase 4 and now Phase 5 have shown us a different story. And this brings us to a film we've all been waiting for, the Fantastic Four. This isn't just another MCU movie, it's a test of whether Marvel can recapture its former glory or if we're seeing the beginning of the end of the theatrical superhero dominance. So, let's break it all down. Part 1, Box Office Reality Check. Let's look at the numbers. The latest reports show that the Fantastic Four has had a decent run. It's done well, surpassing films like Captain America, Brave New World, and even outgrossing the Marvels. That's a definite positive. It's a step in the right direction. The problem is, a step in the right direction for the modern MCU is still well below the standard set by the Infinity Saga. During Phase 3, $1 billion global box office was almost a given for a major release. Films like Avengers, Infinity War, and Black Panther weren't just hits. They were cultural events. But in Phases 4 and 5, that's no longer the case. Even with a highly anticipated film like Fantastic Four, the benchmarks are being reset. A solid box office for the new era is somewhere in the $500 million range. Now let's compare that to another recent Phase 5 film, Thunderbolts. This was a movie with a fantastic cast and great critical buzz, but its box office was lackluster. It struggled to find its footing, and its performance has raised serious questions about whether audiences are still willing to show up for every single MCU project, especially one that requires a deep knowledge of the Disney Plus shows. And that's the core of the problem. Disney is no longer just selling movies. They're selling a franchise, a long-form story that requires you to buy into the entire ecosystem. And I'm on board with it, but I'm now in the minority. This channel focuses on all the stuff I'm caught up with, and the whole world is having trouble keeping up with the MCU. Most things do require you to have seen something in the previous series to understand what's going on now. With the addition of that, Marvel is losing touch with their younger audience. All kids aren't gravitating to comic book movies as their parents did. Which means new box office numbers look a lot different than they did back when we were all trapped inside during COVID and the transition back to normal life. Once you got back to normal life, if you ever did, you may have noticed that the film industry had gotten accustomed to releasing movies on their streaming sites a few months after the theater. So, in addition to feeling behind on new content and in addition to kids not gravitating to the movies for every superhero, there is no rush to go to the theater to see anything because you can watch it from home soon after. Part 2. Cost, Profit, and the Disney Machine. So, let's talk about the money. Making a movie is a massive investment. A film like Thunderbolts had a reported budget around $180 million. For a movie to be profitable for the studio, it needs to make roughly 2.5 times its production budget at the box office because of marketing costs and the cut that theaters take. So, on paper, Thunderbolts, with its nearly $400 million global gross, might seem like it broke even or even made a small profit. But the real story is more complex. Disney isn't just trying to break even on one movie. They're managing an entire media empire. The theatrical release of a film is just one part of a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem that includes merchandise, theme park attractions, and, most importantly now, the Disney Plus streaming service. This brings us to the bigger picture. Part 3. The Disney Plus Factor. For a while, Disney was focused on a single metric: subscriber growth for Disney Plus. They poured billions into original content, including a massive slate of MCU shows. The strategy was to use these shows to drive subscriptions and keep people in the ecosystem. And it worked, for a time. Disney Plus reached over 100 million subscribers in a relatively short period. But subscriber growth has slowed, and the company has shifted its focus from pure growth to profitability. They've raised prices, introduced an ad-supported tier, and tightened their content spending. This has a direct impact on the movies. When a theatrical film is seen as a way to feed the streaming service, the definition of success changes. A movie doesn't just have to be a theatrical smash hit. It has to be a compelling reason for someone to subscribe to Disney Plus in a few months. This is why the MCU movies and shows are so intertwined. You can't watch Captain America: Brave New World without having seen The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And that's a problem for a casual moviegoer. Part 4. The future of the MCU and theatrical movies. The current state of the MCU and Disney is overall strategy points to a fork in the road. Option 1, double down. Disney could continue with its current plan, releasing a huge number of theatrical and streaming projects each year, hoping that the sheer volume will be enough to maintain interest. But this runs the risk of audience fatigue, as we've seen. The MCU's core strength used to be that every film felt like an event. Now, with so many releases, they feel less special, less essential. Option 2, the reset. This is where the success of a film like Fantastic Four becomes so crucial. Marvel could use this as a chance to pivot. They could reduce the number of releases, focusing on fewer, higher quality, and more self-contained films that stand on their own. They could use a film like The Fantastic Four to introduce new, compelling characters that don't require 10 hours of prerequisite streaming content. This would make the movies more accessible to a wider audience and re-establish them as true theatrical events. The future of the MCU is more than just about superheroes. It's a test case for the entire Hollywood business model. It's a question of whether the movie theater can survive as a destination for something other than mega events, and whether a brand can successfully leverage its theatrical power to sell a subscription service without alienating the very audience it needs. The Fantastic Four is the first step in this new era. What happens next will tell us everything we need to know. The Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts were great movies, and unfortunately they've made too many great movies and a couple mediocre movies too close together for people to care or keep up with. And don't forget the shows. Since this channel was kinda late to the party, I'm going to focus on different aspects than everyone else does, so very few breakdown videos, more exploring the timelines of my favorite franchises, and special videos like these when they come to my mind. Leave your thoughts, tell a friend, and from the Stark side, I'll see you on the next one.